Hey everybody, it is August 22nd, which means that yesterday was SummerSlam, so we're going to break this down briefly. I'm with Brandon. Brandon, how you doing? What'd you think of SummerSlam?
Doing well. I thought it was mediocre at best, so we'll go through it
Yep,
really quick. And
yep, I'm similar. So the first match was Enzo and Cass versus Jericho. Did you like the ending, and did you like anything part of the match?
the Kevin Owens that we all know and love, talking through the entire thing. So I thought it was a decent match. Kind of reminded me of something that we would see on Raw, but overall, I thought the ending was fine. I'm hoping that Jericho and Kevin Owens stay together for a while.
Yeah, did you have a favorite KO line during the match?
The one that he said about Cass being the big guy and he hits really hard was pretty cool. He's just gold. That basically is it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I like that one a lot, and I also loved the one where he was tagging in Jericho and he says, "Do your part."
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Then we were led into the women's championship, Sasha versus Charlotte. What'd you think of that?
Dangerous, man. That's the first thing that came to my mind. It just looked like a lot of the stuff was not necessarily botched, but you could kind of see it that way. It just seemed really aggressive, and my biggest concern was just for the health and safety of both of the ladies. At the end of it. So, what about you?
Decent match, but very similar. I think that I wonder if this is part of a transitional role to get Sasha back into a heel role for a Bayley feud and having her wrestle more aggressively, or if that was just her matching the intensity of Charlotte, who definitely was wrestling like a heel, who continually attacked hurting areas of Sasha.
Yeah.
So
my biggest concern is just they don't need to try and outdo the guys. They just need to go out there and do what they can do. So,
Yep.
Don't try and do too much because we want your careers to last a really long time. So.
Yeah. Were you disappointed with the ending?
No, it was surprising, but it didn't really disappoint me because, I think that Charlotte's really good and Sasha, of course, is going to be around for a while. So, they're going to go back and forth here, but it definitely was a surprise that she won. But didn't disappoint me at all.
Yeah, no, it was, and I'm happy with either of them as champion. It's like they've just got so much top level talent on Raw as far as the women.
Yeah, for sure.
So then we have the IC title match between Miz and Apollo Crews. Your thoughts?
Yeah, nothing. I'm glad that Miz won. Apollo Crews has no character, and we don't know who he is or why he's there or any of that stuff. So. Mrs. Angle right now is too good to kind of go away from.
Yeah, no, and until maybe there's some shifting around of talents, maybe if someone like Sami Zayn or Cesaro gets traded over to SmackDown, I just kind of hope that Miz has that title for a while.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So leading into what you and I thought was the best match of the night, AJ versus Cena. Why did you love that match so much?
Just the quality of the work, man. I think AJ Styles really showed that he's pretty much next in line or should be next in line for the title, and just the consistency of John Cena. Every time he goes out there, he puts on a quality match. So I think overall, in the grand scheme of looking back at SummerSlam as a whole, this match stands out. Leaps and bounds among all the other ones that we saw. So, just the quality of that match and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think AJ is solidifying himself as not only as probably the top heel, but also probably one of the top workers in the company. Do you think that the next thing that AJ's next match is a championship match?
It should be. If it's not, there's really nothing else for him to do, especially if Cena goes away and does some stuff, TV or movies or whatever he's going to do for a little bit. That's the natural progression for his character is he just beat the top guy on SmackDown, even though he's not the champion. So that should be his next move is to go after the championship.
It was nice to see him win after his WrestleMania loss.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. So okay, we're into another one that we were both disappointed in, not necessarily because of the match, but because of the outcome, which is New Day versus Gallo and Anderson. Why were you disappointed?
There's a bunch of build-up. The character development with Anderson Gallows was going really well, and then to have it end in a return of Big E, and especially with Jon Stewart out there, it was 4-on-2, and really, what are they going to do? Have the titles change on Raw? I don't know. I just thought that the payoff could have been a lot better And I was really expecting the club to come away with the title. So, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's similar like last year where they've got to fit their celebrity in, and the celebrity can't get botched.
Right.
Just like with Stephen Amell last year against Stardust. They're gonna do it, and I don't know if that's because they're gonna get YouTube hits because oh my goodness, Jon Stewart hasn't been active since leaving his TV show except for a few minor segments on Stephen Colbert's television program. It's something I don't understand, and I just hope they don't kill the momentum that Allison Anderson have going forward.
Yeah.
So, another match that you were pseudo disappointed in, which is the Universal Championship match between Rollins and Balor. Um, why did you feel kind of indifferent or like not as impressed this match?
Well, anyone that's listened to us before knows that I'm not a fan of people that do the same move over and over again in the match. I thought that just the number one, the story leading into this match was lackluster and kind of lazy to me. And second is, even though Rollins and Balor haven't worked together or haven't worked together in a really long time, it just seemed like the move set of Finn Balor was kind of lackluster as well. Just tons of those drop kicks into the corner, into the outside. It just seemed like they could have done a lot more with the storytelling, and not taking anything away from the in-ring work because I think that the match was fine, but it just seemed like all around just the storytelling in this, especially since it's the Raw title, was just lazy to me. So, but in-ring is just the repetitiveness of Finn Balor's moveset really was kind of off-putting on me, and I think that they should have stuck with what and gone with Rollins and then told the story of Finn Balor leading up to maybe the next pay-per-view or something and continuing that feud. And I think the feud will continue, but I just think it was just all-around laziness on WWE's part telling the story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think I just I see this chapter one in their story together, and Balor came on top in chapter one. I could very well see him dropping it to Rollins in the next one, and this could all lead. I mean, this could legitimately, because of the way all the other storylines are being tied up, this could be something that actually goes all the way to the Royal Rumble. And so I just see as chapter one that WWE is going to have to develop Balor well, and at the moment I just see Rollins and Balor as 1A and 1B, and that this thing could be going back and forth for a while. So it didn't bother me so much, and I get your points around Balor's moveset. I also think that these guys have not really wrestled much, so that chemistry might not be developed there. So, and that might just be the opposite to me, and who's hoping to see a better round two. All right. So the next segment that we had was one that we shouldn't talk about very much, but it was the 6-man tag match or 6-woman tag match with the return of Nikki Bella. Your thoughts?
That's really the only story there is Nikki Bella's back.
The only other thing that I thought was a story, and I might be reading into this too much, was that Carmella got pinned and not Naomi.
We won't look too much into it because it's the ladies out there right now, there's no title to fight for or anything on SmackDown, so it is what it is.
Yep. So, Nikki Bella's back, and now SmackDown has some more star power for their female division. Yep. So, we get the World Heavyweight Championship next of Ambrose versus Ziggler. I think you and I were both kind of indifferent. You wanted Ziggler to come out on top, and I wanted Ambrose. Why did you want Ziggler to come out on top?
Well, I think that he's got a lot of potential, and he's been kind of held back for a while. And they were starting to turn him back into the Ziggler that we all loved. Back when he got one of the biggest pops in Raw history, really, when he won against Alberto Del Rio and cashed in his Money in the Bank. They were kind of giving him that push that everybody had been kind of waiting for, and. And this feud may continue and go on, but I think that they, in the promos and stuff like that, you started seeing that different side of Ziggler, more aggressive and all that kind of thing. And Ambrose is kind of the steady, same as he's always been. And I just thought that this was going to be kind of the turning point for Ziggler. But again, it's basically AJ Styles' title to win, and they're just kind of placeholders at this point. So I don't think it really would have mattered who won. But I
Yeah.
was just kind of disappointed that they didn't give it to Ziggler for a little bit here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that if it's about getting the title on AJ, then I think it's important that Ambrose holds it because he has more star power at this point. It lends more credibility to AJ long term. Now, I think in the match, I noticed that Ambrose was acting very differently, and I think that interestingly, that he was wrestling very much like a heel.
Yeah.
I know there's an interview backstage saying that he was doing this to provoke and evoke a certain side out of Dolph Ziggler, but it'll be interesting to see if this side of Ambrose continues where he's fighting more dirty and he's smack talking and he's disrespecting his opponents. So
Yeah,
who
if you
knows?
look at the Rollins match, Rollins did the same thing to Balor that Ambrose was doing to Ziggler. So we're supposed to hate Seth Rollins for disrespecting Finn Balor and smacking him in the head and all that kind of stuff. But Ambrose in this scenario is supposed to be the babyface doing the same thing to Ziggler. So it was just kind of a different take, and it was really odd to see Ambrose doing some of the stuff he was doing, like shaking the ref's hand, and it was just really strange. And
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see where that
So
leads to.
the Yeah. So then it leads to two non-events. First one between Reigns and Rusev. Do you think this does anything for the storyline, and do you think this is just a placeholder so that they can continue the feud for a while?
Thought there would be some kind of payoff. It's one of the things that Raw has been really highlighting. It's one of the biggest storylines they have going, and to have it end at SummerSlam this way, I don't know. It seems like if it were planned this way, again, like super lazy on the part of creative to have this match end in a disqualification or just a non match or no contest. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting tired of this all Roman Reigns does is brawl thing because he did it with
Yeah.
Triple H and, um, I mean, he kind of does it, I mean, he was really protected in that feud with Seth and Dean by one not being there because he was suspended. Before that, by allowing them to do all the talking.
Right.
And the only way he seems
Yeah.
to know how to tell a story is to brawl or to make Jack and the Beanstalk jokes.
Yeah. I mean, if his character is a brawler, that's fine, but just roll with that all the time and put him in like street fights. Like have some kind of stipulation where, especially on a SummerSlam or a bigger event like a pay-per-view, like to have a match just end because he can't control himself or whatever the issue is, even though Rusev was throwing the stairs at him and stuff too.
Yeah.
To have a match this built up and for this ending, it was just super disappointing.
Yep. All right. Last segment of the night also ended up really going nowhere, and that's between Lesnar and Orton. Do you think the finish was planned, or do you think that this was just a mishap where Brock actually hurt Orton?
Yeah, I don't think there's any way this was planned because just the reaction of Paul Heyman. He jumped up on the apron, and it was like talking to Lesnar and stuff like that, and he looked actually concerned for Orton, and then you had Shane running out, which really makes no sense other than he's trying to protect Orton, as the general manager. It just seemed like everything was kind of thrown together at the end to try and make sense of it. But for two matches back to back to end this way, there's no way that they could have planned this. And if they did plan it this way, then it's basically a slap in the face to everyone that paid their money to go and paid their moned to watch this event.
Yeah. Do you think this leads to a feud where between Raw and SmackDown because of the way that Brock Lesnar F5'd Shane McMahon?
It could. It could lead to maybe WWE felt some pressure to do some kind of suspension or something to Brock Lesnar based on the stuff that happened in the UFC. Who knows? I mean, it could be a lot of things, but I think that for a wrestler to go out there and assault basically the general manager of one of the shows, there has to be some kind of follow up to this.
Yeah.
So.
You and I had mentioned that it was interesting that, or maybe just sad, that Bray Wyatt wasn't sent down there. Why don't you think that Bray Wyatt was involved in SummerSlam, and do you think they have any kind of plan for him after this?
It's hard to say because putting WWE and plan in the same sentence, gets us in dangerous territory because we get our hopes up and then they crush them. So I
Yeah.
think their involvement with Bray Wyatt is, it could have happened. It could have been planned. And, since Orton was actually hurt, you can't send him out there to just beat him up. Uh, but I think going forward, you got to have him as one of the top guys because it's what he is. They just don't use him and they don't plan anything. And it's just overall, this was to me just an event that they didn't put a lot of effort into. And when things went wrong, it was like, okay, so why didn't you put this match before the championship matches, or why didn't you put the United States Championship before the heavyweight championship matches? Like none of the order of this made any sense to me. So
Yeah, yeah, and part of that is like I feel bad for them because of the precedence of like, well, we can't show favoritism to one over the other, and so we just kind of have to, let's draw numbers to see who goes
yeah,
where.
yeah,
And that's not a professional way of doing this. It's not a good way of telling good stories. It is, however, a reality that they're kind of caught in by trying to put two shows worth of paper or two brands into one pay-per-view. It'll be interesting to see how they do pay-per-views going forward, and because I think that'll like determine a lot, and also how they tell the big ones later, like the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, where they have to bring them back together.
yeah, yeah. I was surprised to see them talk about the standalone pay-per-views and stuff like that. But I'm guessing that the big four are going to be the ones that they bring everybody together again. So, but what did you think of the presentation as a whole? Because really, I mean, the main thing that I came away with is like the stage and all the commentating and all that kind of stuff. For the most part, was well done. With the exception of Byron Saxton, of course. But I thought that they put a lot of the effort into making it look good at least. But the matches
Yeah.
themselves just were very disappointing for me. So what
Yeah.
what grade would you give it?
Well, I had a C plus, and there's a few highlights there. Like one, I enjoyed having Mauro Ranallo and Corey Graves actually on the same show commentating and made commentating a lot more
Hmm.
listenable. And I enjoyed the first Enzo cast, Jericho. I enjoyed Cena versus Styles. Um, Rollins and Balor had moments, and like that's
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, I gave it a C, and overall, it was just kind of an overwhelming disappointment. Not just because of the matches that didn't happen, but it just seems like they didn't really put a lot of effort in, and I hope that
Yeah.
changes. So,
Well, it'll be interesting. So I remember last summer feeling disappointed with SummerSlam, but the Monday after was really
yeah,
good. And similar, I thought the last WrestleMania was very poor, but the Monday after was amazing. So we'll see if WWE makes it up to us tonight, and maybe we see the debut of Samoa Joe.
possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see,
Okay.
and we'll talk to you guys after Monday Night Raw.
Thanks, guys.